everyone, welcome again to First Lady Fashion and Style. For my returning subscriber, thank you so much for the encouragement. You are the one that have given me the strength to get up to make another video and post on the YouTube channel again. And for those that are just watching for the first time, I feel you need to subscribe first before you continue with this video. And the second reason is because if you don't subscribe, you may not see some of our videos, and I'm very sure you're going to learn one or two things from this channel. So today, as you can see on the thumbnail, we are making a shred A-line dress. That is a shred A-line dress. So basically for this shred A-line dress, you can apply it to any kind of style you want. The one you are seeing on the thumbnail is an A-line dress. We are going to make the one we are going to make on this video. It is going to be an A-line dress. But I just want you to know that this shred pattern is so beautiful that we can use it also on other designs, not only A-line dress. Like, look at this blouse here. This is also another kind of shred design, so you can also use it on your blouse. It's a very beautiful design. So for today, we'll be making use of these two fabric. I have more of this, so I'm going to be using this, and then I'm going to use this at interval. So I want to put this. The other fabric we'll be needing is your lace now, or your net. Sorry, the net you'll be using. So you can use this kind of net. Please, it should not be heavy, so that the whole dress will not be too heavy. This is the net we'll be using for the base of our shred. So some people can use, you can decide to use lining for the base if you want to, but I'm going to use net for the base of this lining. And you need a very long roller like this for your A-line cut. You also need a scissors. This scissors is called either the zigzag scissors or the shred scissors. It's going to give your pattern a very nice look, because what we are going to do is we are basically going to cut this net here. We are going to cut it to the A-line dress that we actually need, and then we are going to shred this fabric on a straight line. Now this is how to go about it. This is the fabric we'll be using. So on the reverse side, that is the back side, you are going to add your interface like this. This is an interface. You are going to add your interface to the fabric you are going to use, and you will iron it properly and lay it flat. Now when you lay it flat, you would measure this way. You would measure, like for example, if you want to use 1.5 inches, you will measure 1.5 inches, and then you will cut it straight down, and it should be the same length with the length of your dress. I hope you understand. I'm still going to show you that. I'm just giving you this as an example. So this is the net we'll be using. So I'm going to lay straight. Now for you to know the amount of net you need, the first thing is the length of the dress you are working with. For this project, we are using length 60. So for that, you have to have the whole length has to be 120. 60 for the front and 60 for the back. And then the next thing is you will fold it into two lengthwise this way. This is it. You fold it into two lengthwise. It has to be this exact length that you want. So you fold it into two like this lengthwise. So this here, this is the front and this is the back. Okay, so right now we know the length of the dress we want to make. So for this project, we are using length 60. So you already know the length you are going to make, 60 for the front and 60 for the back. So the next thing is the wideness. How to calculate the wideness? Now we are going to use our hip circumference, because we believe that the hip might be the biggest part of the body. Please, if the bust is the biggest part of the body, you can also use the bust measurement. So for this project, we are using the hip measurement. So you calculate the hip measurement. The hip you are using divided by 4, because our fabric is into 4 fold. Divided by 4, whatever value you get, add 6 to it. Now when you add 6 to it, you would have already agreed or determined the amount of sewing allowance you want to put. So you just add the sewing allowance to the 6. For example, the one we are using here is 44. 44 divided by 4 will give me 11. 11 plus 6 will give me 17. And I'm going to add 1.5 inch sewing allowance. So that will be 18.5. So when I'm folding considering 18.5 or 19 for the fold. So right now we are going to start with our measurements. Now if I mark on this black fabric, you may not see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this my fabric, and then I'm going to use a plain paper. Please, I want you to assume that this plain paper is on fold now. So anything I'm doing on this paper, you can do it directly on your fabric. You don't have to use the fabric. You don't have to use the paper. This is an A-line dress, so you can do it directly on your fabric. So the first thing we need to do here is to measure the starting point of the line. So from here, I'm going to measure 1 inch here. This 1 inch is called the starting point because we are going to need it when we want to add our allowance on the top. When we want to add our sewing allowance, we will need it on the top. So the next thing that I'm going to do here is, now this place here is the center of the fabric and this place is on fold. So here is where I'm going to put my neck measurement. So for this project, I want to use neck, the wideness of the neck, I want it to be, okay, let's first use the standard, which is 3 here, and the depth is 3. We are going to alter the neck later, but let's start with the standard measurement. And then I'm going to mark the neck this way. This is it. The neck, the front and the back, we are going to have it the same thing. The neck, front and back. Then the next thing is I'm going to measure this is the back. The back is 8 plus ½ inch sewing allowance. I'm going to have 8.5. Now on this side where I have my 8.5, I'm going to mark down 1 inch, and then I'm going to connect that 1 inch to this neck line this way. I hope you can see that. So the next thing for us to do is our armhole measurement. So to get our armhole measurement, you have to calculate the bust. You are using the bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. So the bust measurement we are using is 38 for this project. So if you say 38 divided by 6 here, 38 divided by 6, you are going to have plus 1.5, you are going to have 7.8. Yes, let's do it again. Sorry, 38 divided by 6, 38 divided by 6 plus 1.5, you are going to have 7.8. Now the 7.8, you are going to place it from this slope here. That's how you're going to place it, and you have it 7.8 somewhere around here. Now because I want to have a straight line here, I'm going to start from the top here to measure, and that will give me like 8.8 because I want to have a straight line. So I want to start from this line. So from this top here, I'm going to measure my 8.8 this way, and then I'm going to measure the 8.8 this way. It's just for me to have a straight line here, and this line is for the armhole measurement. So on this line here, I'm going to mark the same 8.8, which is the shoulder here, the shoulder measurement here. I'm going to mark the same thing here, and I'm going to connect that line this way. Sorry, 8.8, 8.5, sorry, 8.5, 8.5. I'm going to connect it to this slope here. I'm going to connect it to this slope here. So the next thing is I'm going to look for the midpoint of this place, and the midpoint is around here. So I'm going to come in here by ½ inch. It's a boo-boo and it's not too tight. a bit free, so I'm going to put it this way. And then on this line here, I'm going to put the bust measurement. So the bust measurement we are using for this project is bust 38. Like I said, 38 divided by 4 will give me 9.5. So on this line, I'm going to place my 9.5 this way. Now, because this is a free dress, I'm going to add 1.5 inches. I want it to be free a bit. If this dress is going to have, if yours is going to have a zip, you can just add 1 inch, but this one is not going to have a zip, so that's why I'm adding 1.5. And mind you, if you add 1.5, it means that you've added 3 inches for the front and 3 inches for the back. So apart from the ease, I'm going to add another 1.5 inches, which is going to be for my sewing allowance. So that is that. So I'm going to take horizontal measurement, but before I do that, I'm going to carve the armhole measurement. So this is where I'm going to do it. This is the armhole measurement. This is where I have the bust measurement with the allowance. That's the bust measurement with the allowance. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark out the other measurement, the horizontal measurement this way. So from the very top line here, I'm going to measure the waistline. And the waistline I'm using for this project is 16. So I'm going to mark 16 here and 16 here. Now for the hip measurement, I am using hip 24 for this. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can use 8, you can use 9. So I'm using 24 this way. 24. And then the length down will be my 60, which is the length of the dress. Now I'm going to add 1 inch to it. That is going to be for the hemming of the lower part. So this here is going to be my hip line, and this here is going to be my waist. Now, it's not compulsory for you to even mark the hip line. I will tell you why. So on the waistline here, the measurement we are using is waist 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So here I'm going to mark the 9 inches. I hope you understand what I'm doing. Remember, I told you that I'm going to add 1.5. That is for ease, because I want the dress to be free. It's not going to have a zip. And then from there, I'm going to add another 1.5, which is going to be the sewing allowance. I'm going to even add lining to it. So I'm going to add 1.5. So now from this waistline, you can go directly to the hem of the dress. And then, like I said, you are going to add 6 to your hip measurement. So we can even ignore this hip line and go to the hem where we have the measurement. The hip is 44. 44 divided by 4 will give me 11. 11 plus 6 will give me 17. So on the hem line, we want to assume that this is our hem line now. I'm going to mark here, that's 17. And then because I have been adding 1.5 for the sewing allowance, I'm going to add 1.5, and this is what you are going to do. You are going to connect from your armhole here to the waistline, and then from the waistline you are going to use your very long ruler to connect all the way from your waist to the hem line this way. That is how you are going to do it. You are going to connect to the hemline this way. So the only difference between this paper and my fabric is because my paper is not as long as my fabric. But from here upward, everything is the same thing. So when you are done with this place, you will go up here by 2 inches this way, and then you would connect with a curve ruler to the center of your dress so that you don't have a sharp end there. Then now for this place here, now the neckline, you know, I told you I want to widen it up a bit. So for This depth, I'm going to leave it at 3, but for the wideness, I'm going to increase the wideness to 4. So I'm going to reconnect from that 4 here. I'm going to reconnect from the 4 to the 3 here, to the 3 inches. I hope you can see that, because we need room for the neck, since we are not going to have any zip there. So the next thing I'm going to do now is this. I'm going to add, don't forget, you are going to add your allowance here, your sewing, half-inch sewing allowance here, half-inch sewing allowance here. So when you are cutting it, make sure you add your half-inch sewing allowance here, and then on the shoulder too, add your half-inch allowance this way. Use your tape rule, please, so that you can get it accurately. Follow this curve. Follow the curve on the armhole here. Follow the curve and mark it this way so that you can have it accurately, just like the way I'm doing. Make sure you curve it and have it. Now, as you can see on the draft we have, this gown has a yoke. So what I'm going to do is, from the sleeve here, I'm going to take 1 inch here, and then from here I'm going to come down by 3 inches. Now, and I'm going to connect from here to this place. So that is going to be for our yoke. That is going to be this one. This is going to be the yoke. So when I am done cutting, I'm going to cut out this yoke, and this yoke here, as you can see it here, is going to be another fabric. It's going to be another net. As you can see on the thumbnail, it's going to be another net here, and this is going to be where we have the dress, and here is where we are going to place our shredded fabric. So I want you to pay attention to something else here. Once I cut this place off here, I will need to add half-inch allowance to this fabric here, and add half-inch allowance to this lace here to join it together. If you don't add the half-inch, you are going to have issues. So when I'm cutting this on my fabric, I'm going to come up here by 0.5 here when I'm cutting, so that I can have this 0.5 to join it to this fabric. And then when I'm cutting this fabric also from here, I'm going to add my half-inch to join. I hope you understand that. Please don't forget. So the next thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to cut out this. Remember I told you I'm going to cut out this one now. I'm going to cut it this way. I'm going to cut it this way. But when I get to my fabric, when I'm cutting this on my fabric, I'm going to add half-inch allowance, and I'm going to take this one out and use this to cut the lace we are going to use on top of this design. So please just follow it carefully, watch it carefully. It's very easy to understand. You have learned so many things today. You have learned how to fix your yoke. So this is how the yoke is going to be. But when I'm placing it on my fabric, I'm going to add half-inch here, and on this one, when I'm placing this on my lace that I'm going to attach, I'm going to add half-inch here, so that when I join it together, I'm still going to have my measurement complete. Remember that this place is on fold. Please remember that this place is on fold. And then I'm going to cut out this part here, place it on my fabric, and then I'm going to cut it out. When I'm done with that, and I'm going to show you how we are going to place our shred. This is the A-line, the base we are going to use for the strip. You can see I already cut it out, and I also removed the yoke part here. I placed the yoke here on another fabric. So this is the lace I'll be using for the yoke. So you can see this is how it's going to be fixed here. I've added the allowance to make sure that it's fixed properly this way. And we're also going to use the same net for the sleeve. So for this one now, I'm going to keep this aside. I've already cut the lining too, because I want to use lining. So I just placed this fabric on a lining, and I cut out the lining for both the back and the front. So right now I told you that the strip we are going to use, this is how we are going to do it. We are going to lay it flat this way. I already showed you the fabric, and I've placed my interface. This is the fabric. I placed my interface on it, and then I measured out, depending on the the amount of thickness you want. So for this thickness, I use 1.5 because I'm going to fold the edge this way, and I'm going to fold the edge this way before attaching it to it. If you don't want to fold yours, there are other ways of doing it. You can make use of the scissors I showed you. The scissors will give it a zigzag design by the side, and then you can just place it directly and sew on it. But if you don't want to use the zigzag scissors, you can cut it straight, because I'm not sure, I don't want the side of the fabric here to fray while washing it. So that's why I want to use this method. So this is the other fabric. I told you I'm using two colors here. So I'm going to place them the way I want it, starting from the middle part. This is how you are going to do it. You are going to place it straight using your tape rule to measure equal length at the center. So I'm leaving half inch. By the time I fold this place and I fold this place, I will have more space here. So this is how you are going to do it. I'm going to place it this way. I have already cut all the strips that I will be needing. I already cut all the strips that I will be needing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it this way. I'm going to alternate the colors this way, and I'm going to place them side by side this way. And I'm going to use my Emmy gum. This is Emmy gum. I'm going to place the Emmy gum. This Emmy gum will help it to stick on the fabric. I'm going to place the Emmy gum under it this way. I hope you can see. I'm going to place the Emmy gum under it this way, and I'm going to use my iron, steam iron, to iron it. And when I do that, it's going to help it to stick on the fabric while I sew, so that it will not move. I'm going to use that on all the fabric. I'm going to use it on everything after laying it straight, and I'm sure of what I want. I'm sure that I have what I want. I'm going to put Emmy gum on that, and I'm going to use it to stick it. So after sticking it, then I will take it to my machine, and then I will sew both edges. So let me show you this is the one that I have done. I have already sticked, but I have not sewn it down. So you have to be very careful. So this is it. This is it. I've already used Emmy gum for this. So I'm going to iron it properly, and I'm going to fold it as I sew. I will fold in this edge and fold in the other edge, and I'm going to sew it straight down. So I'm going to do that for both fabric, and then when I'm done, I will show you what we have, and then we'll fix the yoke. This is very simple. We'll fix the yoke, we'll fix the lining and the sleeve, and we are done. Okay, so right now this is what I have. You can see this is the neckline, and I have sewn the strips, everything to the bottom. It can be a little bit time consuming, but it comes out really nice. Remember what we did. This is the strip here for both. I placed them side by side, and then I took in from one side here like 2 points, like 0.25, and then on this other side too I folded in like 0.25, and then I sewed with my machine. So I told you the other style is for you to cut with your zigzag scissors And when you place that, you don't need to fold at the edge, but I prefer to do mine this way. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach the yoke. We have cut the yoke, so this is the neck. So I notch the center, the middle point, and then the middle of this yoke too. I placed it together and I marked the middle. This is the middle point. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place, this is the right side, this is the right side. I'm going to place it and hold it with my pin this way, and I'm going to sew it all the way so that by the time I turn it, I'm going to have something like this. And I'm also going to add the lining to it. This is the lining already cut. This is the lining. So when I'm done attaching this yoke to it, I'm going to use this lining. I'm going to place the lining here where I have the yoke this way, and I'm going to sew it and turn it so that this place will be covered. When I'm done, I'm going to show you what I have done. So this is what I have here. This is the back. I told you I'm going to turn it in with the lining. And this is the front side. You can see the yoke has been fixed. And then the yoke has been fixed here. This is the back. After fixing the yoke, I use the lining to turn it in. And I also sewed the side. You can see I sewed the side, and then the down part too, I turned it in. So the next thing is I'm going to put the two together, both the front and the back. I'm going to put it together, and then we are going to give it a shape and we'll sew it down. All right, so so far so good. We have been able to construct we have been able to put the lining facing. This is the neck here. I've attached the yoke to it, and I turned the neck with bias. And the sleeve, this is the sleeve. I already cut the sleeve, and on the mouth of the sleeve I did a flay, just the 360 flay on the sleeve hem. So right now I just want us to do this together. I want us to do the shaping of the A-line, because apart from the shred that we are learning in this tutorial, we are also learning how to make your A-line dress. So your A-line dress is one of the simplest dress that you can wear. So this is the dress, this is it from the top, and this is it to the bottom. So we are going to come back with our measurements and use our measurement again. So this is what we are going to do. So the table, okay, so this is from the top here. So you can see that I wrote a line here. This is the midpoint, the middle of the dress. So I'm going to start measurement from here. I'm going to use a quarter. So I'm going to start the measurement from here, and I'm going to use the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to do this now so that you can see how to shape it, and then I'll go to the machine and sew it. That will be all, and then I will turn it round for us to see what we have been doing. So from the top, that is from your neck point, I'm going to measure out here. This way we are going to have our bust line at the armhole area. We'll have a bust line. Then the waist we are using is waist 17. We are using waist 17, so the waist will start from here. And I told you that you don't need to mark your hip measurement. You would put your hip measurement at the bottom part. So for the bust, we are using bust 38. 38 divided by 4 is 9.5. I'm dividing it by 4 because I'm using half of the front. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and I'm going to have the full front, but now I'm dividing it by 4 because I'm going to measure from the center. So from here I'm going to measure 9.5. So from this center here, this is my 9.5, and remember, because this is a free dress, no zip, I want it to have a bit of space. So this is 9.5 and I'm adding 1.5 to it. So in all, I'm going to have my 11. So the 11 will be here. And then on the waist side here, I'm going to do the same thing. The waist is 36. 36 divided by 4 plus 1.5 will give me 10.5. So this is my 10.5 here. This way, I hope you can see it. And then on the hem side here, where this is the hem side, you can see that I held it together, both the front and the back, with pin. Please, you can do that so that your measurements will be accurate. So on the hem side here, that is the bottom side, this is where I'm going to take my hip measurement plus 6 plus the 1 point plus 6, sorry. So the hip measurement is 44. 44 divided by 4 is 11 plus 6 is 17. So here, this is my 17 this way here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my ruler to connect all the points together. You can see that it's very easy. So here, from the bust here to the waist, this is bust to the waist, and then from the waist here, I'm going to connect it to the hem, just like that. Make sure you use a very long ruler so that you can get it straight all the way down. So that is just, is as simple as that. That is how to connect, that is how to sew your A-line dress. So I'm going to sew it and I'm going to hem the bottom side, and then we are done with this beautiful dress. And then I'm going to put it on the mannequin for you to see what we have done so far. So we're finally done with this shred gown. You can see it's looking beautiful. That is the A-line shred gown. Looking very beautiful. This is the yoke part and this is the sleeve. So I'm not going to leave it like this. I'm going to embellish all the shred with Swarovski stone, and it's going to come out very beautiful. So please make sure you try this method. Make sure you make your own. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check our other videos. See you in the next video. Bye.